That's the science my ex-roommate used to use when it came to food. He said, well, you got constipation, you eat a couple of greasy burgers. It'll slide right out.
Yes, I agree.
So they're called sliders, duh.
Grease is gut lubricant.
It's meant to be slid right out of you.
Yep, just slides right out.
I agree.
it.
That's the American spirit
How
right there.
appropriate
Yes.
we're talking about nutrition and weight.
We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe.
Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh. Most times we go deep. Today we're here to talk to you about Pluribus' 6th episode of its inaugural season, titled simply HDP, or as the English would say, HDP, which would be human-derived protein.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure there's a whole lot to dive into on this title. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked a bit about John Cena prior to jumping on to the official recording. So if you want that, you can go to our Ko-fi or Patreon.
Oh, highly suggest it.
Yeah,
was a
join a
good-
membership or tip us on
Good
Ko-fi.
conversation about John Cena.
Now you see me. I didn't know that's what it meant.
No, that's so wrong. You
Can't
can't
see
see me. Oh my gosh.
John Cena is definitely not in my collective.
Oh
So
my gosh. John Cena just stopped listening to us.
you're right.
now.
He just
Good
exited
job.
the collective.
Good job.
He was such a great fan. Anyway.
John Cena has left the conversation.
Has exited the chat. Before we get started, I do want to start off with one thing. Our TikTok. Obviously, we had a clip, and that clip was of Sharon D going,
Oh no.
the one thing I hate about Carol Sturka is that she was really mean to Zosha. It was
Oh,
really
God.
cruel what she did. That actually generated some responses. And of the 3 responses we received, listen, I always thought I was pro-human. These guys are way more humanist than I am. You know, the human supremacy group that I run, right? These guys are like the extreme version of that. Let me read them out to you. It's actually kind of interesting, though, at the same time, because for some reason they're not thinking the way we are. And I actually kind of find it pretty interesting. Starting with the top. Yeah, why didn't Carol care more about the alien invader that forced their will upon the entire planet, killing 1/8 of the population in the process?
They didn't kill the population. Let's get that straight right off the bat.
Well,
Next.
1/8 of the population, that 1 billion almost, remember?
They didn't kill anybody.
I know. That's fine, right?
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
My response, never let your guard down. Never.
Oh my gosh. Okay, next.
Keep hope alive. And next one is from CHE Spirits, Spirits. Zosha isn't Zosha, the human. She's an alien pretending.
Okay.
Extreme
okay.
human supremacist, right?
It's a valid theory. I'll accept
Right.
it.
Again,
Next.
they're not mean comments. They're just
No.
backhanded insults.
Not
fine.
even. They're just opinions so far.
But they have a
Their
little stank
opinions.
on them, right? Don't they? Which is fine. That's the internet for you.
The first one was a little stanky, but I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at any of these. Watch. I say alien ? Compared to us, yes. Pretending ? Debatable! !
Yeah, not pretending. They've been very open and honest about.
Right. And then, but
Next.
never let your guard down. Ever.
Oh my gosh.
Again.
Next.
Anyway. AH says she also made a declaration for her agency after taking away Zosha's agency. This comment I like the most. Yeah, well, there you go. And I said, I think we've all been guilty of that at some stage in our lives. Sweats, eyes. No likes on that one. I did get a response on never let your guard down to the first guy, by the way. Thank you very
Okay.
much. And last but not least, Brayo says, this is certainly a take. Not a good one, but unlike Zosha, she is allowed to have an opinion. Wait, the hive mind doesn't have opinions or thoughts or belief systems? This is all I could fit in 150 characters, but quote unquote Zosha was my response, is a mere extension of a singular being distributed across these nodes that were formerly individuals. It has opinions and beliefs.
Okay, so I guess my response would be maybe the reason that it upset me is because I feel like Carol would treat anybody that way if she wanted to get something out of them.
Well, they also listened to the whole episode. We're like, we don't blame her, but still was really the takeaway.
They're reacting to that clip alone, and not taking into account the entire context of our conversation.
Yeah, also, we want her to win, but also we realize what it takes to win.
I kind of like the idea of releasing clips that
antagonize people.
Yeah,
like Carol does.
I mean, that's what the internet's all about, right? Is pissing people off, and if we can
What
do
I
that,
say last
then
week,
they're paying attention to us.
Yeah, unless they block.
Yeah,
which people do, right? I don't like what you said.
I've been saying since the very beginning how much I hate Carol. After the first episode, I said I hate Carol.
But you're like, why? Why do I hate Carol? And like, yeah, then we have to explain it now. I think it's kind of interesting, though. We should take in these opinions and be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't let our guard down. Maybe we have to not forget that despite the fact that they're kind of Jainists, and I'll explain what Jainism is later on in the episode, they don't do harm to living beings, period. Even microbes, some on the extremes. They have invaded in their own way. And even if it's unintentional,
crazy.
Right. Which is why the series is so interesting.
Agreed. But yeah, they're getting a little.
Yeah.
It only further supports my theory. The alien invasion. They're preparing Earth for their own arrival.
Habitation. Cool.
For habitation. And they're doing this by basically starving out the human race.
And they would be the slaves in turn.
Or maybe they just wait for human race to die off and then they come invade the Earth after we're gone.
If that was the case, then why would they bother healing people who are sick or hurt? Just let them die.
Well, shut up.
Why do they give preferential treatment to the humans that are left? At their own expense. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world, or see, as evidenced by the comments.
We know that's you, David.
Yeah. Or Charity, rather, really. Because let's start off with this, right, Charity? You were right. It was human body parts.
Yeah.
Linear. How about that, Rachel?
That wasn't really a huge... I even said, I'm like, there's going to be some kind of twist to it. And the twist was it didn't matter. Nobody cared.
Because I was right, too.
Carol's big hero moment, which I've said all along, she wants to be the hero of the story. And her big hero moment turned out to be no big deal.
Right. Because what I had said last week was, they already knew a week ago. Everybody else knew except for her this whole time. All the dramatic music, all the gasping, you just have to video and tell everybody about this. No, they knew already a week already.
Yeah. It's because they asked questions.
She can't trust them long enough to actually ask them, even though she knows they can't lie.
Carol, you're a writer. You write things where question what the characters are going to do. Why don't you question these people and ask them questions? It's like she's so angry and hurt at Helen's death that she can't think of anything else. It's just, I've got to get back at these beings for whatever they did. I'm going to figure out how to change it back. And I'll be the hero of the story. But nobody cares.
No, nobody cares. Exactly.
Because they all have their own thing. The only person that's possibly going to care is Manusos. Everybody's got their family. Koumba's got his little fantasy 007 James Bond world he's living in.
Complete fantasy.
Well, there was a little mirror, too, because his hero moment got spoiled when Eye Patch went out of character. He was the hero of the game. His moment was broken. And nobody cared because they're all hive mind. None of them
because they're all pretending, too.
He cared, just like Carol is the one who cares.
Okay. Yeah. So he's still, in his own way, still a mirror image of Carol. Okay. I like that. Let me add a little bit more color to the scene where Eye Patch breaks character. When he gets back into character, it's the little things. He hits the glass, right? As if he's like, and back into character. Do you realize where he hit the glass onto?
Yes, I did.
It was the crotch of the guy next to him.
Yes.
And it breaks. He hit it so hard. It breaks on the guy's crotch.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's something so fantastic about that. So wait, maybe there's something we can get out of that. This is a reach in a weird way because technically I'm right about this, but technically it might not even matter. Does hitting the glass and making it break prove in a small way that they can harm themselves?
It's accidental. What they said before is they can't hurt anything on purpose. Like stepping on a bug. You can't avoid stepping on a bug sometimes. It's going to happen. So they can't purposely hurt people. But in the act of doing a thing that Koumba wants them to do, they accidentally hurt someone. That's not the same thing.
But isn't it an accident? Because it seems to me that if they were to be a being that is mindful or at least vigilant over not hurting or harming anything, even the act of accidentally doing something, which it can be debated. If Koumba tells them to, will they harm themselves? Perhaps. And if they do, because here's the opposite side of that coin. When Koumba says, hey, they thought of an idea of having farming robots, but they would have to be the ones to build them. And if they have to build them, there's an intention. And if you have the intention, they're putting their intentions on the robots and the robots are doing the harm. So that's why they can't do it. Their intention is to build these robots to do the farming, to do the harming. so they can't build the robots in turn because it would go against their beliefs.
I see what you're saying, but I think in this context, they can't control the physics of where a glass is going to go. I don't think it was like, we're going to do this on purpose.
Well, but I think what David's saying is by hitting the glass, he hurt himself, not the other guy.
Also, both sides. Sure.
Oh, that's what I thought you meant.
What if Carol demanded that they kill her? What would that do? Would that short circuit?
Demanded that they kill her?
Right,
Probably
because
have
they
a heart
can't.
attack again.
Okay.
Right, they can't hurt anything, but
Yeah,
they
they
can't
won't do
tell
it.
her no. But that was before they denied her some other stuff.
I just meant themselves, not Carol, not others. If they're allowed to harm themselves in the process, which has a ton of implications. If they can harm themselves, they can eat themselves. Ugh. Or cause the demise that would lead to a fingernail, let's say their person or extension of them in a node to be dead or harmed or amputated even.
In the sense that they'll let themselves starve to death? Maybe, but I think they can do accidental things like hitting a glass. You can hit a glass now and you're not be sure it's going to hurt you.
But then why do
that
it?
was just incidental.
For the pleasure of Koumba?
Here's what I feel is like he said, hey, watch the James Bond movie Thunderball, or one of you has seen this movie and I want you to act it out, because that's basically what they were doing. As far as hurting the guy, that wasn't intentional. It was just something that came about.
With you, I would even go as far as, because I'm all about the whole suspension of disbelief for the sake of the story. I'm like, oh, it's a plot hole. It's not technically even a plot hole, you dimwit on Reddit. I know I shouldn't be so mean, but it's more like, okay, I'll allow for creative license on that one. Sure, whatever. But sometimes you just have to kind of say, oh yeah, but does that mean something? Will that come back later? The fact that he hit his hand on the glass, maybe it would have bled, or his crotch would be injured or somehow. Has a black and blue on the ball or something. Anyway, looked like it hurt, by the way. Just gonna say, it was like, ooh.
I listened to the official podcast, and they were talking about this scene in particular. Some of the guests were intended to be impersonators of famous people from the 60s.
Bob Dylan?
Yeah, I saw Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm.
There was
Elvis, obviously.
Elvis.
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn. The lady in the black dress who came up with the cigarette holder. That was Audrey Hepburn.
Who was the guy with the tattoo on somebody's butt? He was in one of the series. Oh, yeah. It was in Fear the Walking Dead. What's her name? Liked him a lot.
What?
Morgan's girlfriend. What is her name now? Wow.
Karen David?
/ wife. On
Grace?
Fear the Walking Dead. Grace. Grace liked the artist. And she played the cassette over and over. Roy Orbison. Took me a while to get that.
Jeez.
Was one of them Roy Orbison?
What? That was like the most...
But who had the tattoo of Roy Orbison on their butt? And it was like I think it was an Adam
Henry
Sandler
Winkler.
Movie. That's what it was.
It was the water boy.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
See where my mind, I make associations.
What mama don't know won't hurt her. Those were the three that I caught.
Okay.
I know that was another reason I wanted to go back and watch it again, because I immediately noticed that they were impersonating real people, and I wanted to go back and write down all the ones that I caught.
Yeah, it wasn't immediately clear to me, but it was like, are they not? But yeah, I guess that's enough. Mm-hmm. Well, a little bit more on that scene, because we're not the official podcast, excuse me. So it is the Elvis suite, and it actually exists because the actual hotel exists. Westgate Hotel does actually exist, does actually have the Elvis suite, which is called the Imperial Sky Villa. That's an Elvis themed suite, which is built in the exact location where Elvis Presley lived during his historic Vegas residency from 1969 to 1976, though it is a modern reimagining with Elvis touches, not the original layout.
Yeah, it's been redone.
Eat that, official podcast. Just salty about that, apparently.
Clearly.
So another fun little thing is they actually filmed in Vegas. The stuff on the billboard when they're talking to Carol, that is real. That is not CGI.
Oh, the electronic sign? Okay.
Right. The big Koumba
That's not real.
banner. It is real. It is.
Get
It
out
is
of
real.
here.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what it says on it?
Yeah, the king.
Well, it says more than that. It's the King of Westgate. Le Roi à Westgate.
Samba Shoot said in the official podcast that was his first day, was shooting all of the photo shoots for all of his portraits that are hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
He's a beautiful man.
It was funny that banner was real. He tells a story about somebody seeing it. I'm not going to go listen to the podcast, but it was really
I love
cute.
his actual accent is very much more American.
Oh, yes, very much. Yes, yes.
And I know that he's also, I added this little detail in my notes. I know he's playing somebody from Senegal too. He is from Mauritania, but his lineage is from Senegal. I'll tell you why I know this. It's because he is referencing a dish that is primarily and exclusively, it was the chicken something or other. Yassa, right. Which is is basically a typical Senegalese dish. And so let me expand on that just a little bit. Obviously, the main language in Senegal is French because Senegal itself has multiple languages, the most popular of which is Wolof, the most widely spoken language. In fact, Google says it's the national lingua franca for communication between different ethnic groups is Wolof. But French being the official language because obviously it was a French administration for a little while because, of that whole thing, that little dirty word we love, colonialism, which actually is kind of apropos for the series if you think about it. These human beings were colonized by the hive mind.
What would be the point of Vegas now because of the hive mind? Because the whole point of Vegas is gambling and fun, and money doesn't mean anything. So I said it's about Koumba, like, would I be more like him or more like Carol? I would be more like Koumba, like in the sense that I would want to travel and go see things and do things. Like, I don't feel like I would be, don't talk to me. And I was wondering how you guys felt like you would be. Would you be more like Carol or more like Koumba? Would you be like, no, I don't want anything to do with you? Or would you be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this to do things I want to do and live in a fantasy because that's what he's doing. This is not real. Will that wear out eventually?
Well, there's a lot of places to go and a lot of things to see before you would get bored. I do agree it would eventually, once you've seen everything 10, 20, 30 times. Sure. As far as Vegas specifically, we did talk about this a little bit. And I was of the mind, I know money doesn't mean anything anymore, but a lot of times when I gamble, winning's cool, but I don't ever expect to win. So for me, it's just about the experience and like the rush of the gamble. It's really just about having fun. And that's what he's doing. Arguably, he's having more fun because money doesn't mean anything. So he's not really losing anything either.
There's no risk.
Right. And he can just rig it so that he does win.
I'm fairly sure he wasn't dealt a royal flush in that game. Like, it was obviously set up.
Absolutely. Personally, I would be more like Koumba, not specifically rigging a poker game, but I honestly had to go back to Ireland.
Okay, but part of the fun of doing that is interacting with the people. So what would
be the culture? Yeah.
Yes, it's okay to go look at buildings and stuff, but is it the same if there's not the people and, like Dave said, the culture and the society there?
I could make it so that it is.
But you would also know that it's not real.
Well, it's more of a tomb, in a sense, isn't it?
Define what's real. I mean, if they are exposing you to this culture, isn't it still real?
That's kind of what I was saying by it being a tomb, because it'd be the end of what was.
It's also tailored to you.
No, it would just be. If I said, whatever members of the hive mind lived here, put them back there and have them continue living what would have been their individual life.
Right. So you're saying I would be more like Koumba. I would stage certain areas to give me the experience of what it would have been like.
It wouldn't be tailored to me. It
would be tailored 100% to you. Why would they be doing it otherwise?
Okay, let's say, for example, I wanted to go back to Dingle. And I said, all right, everyone who lived in Dingle, put them back there. I want them to act like they would normally. I don't know what that means. I can't say, oh, well, they all still have their memories. They all still know what that is. It's all part of the collective.
I mean, they have the memories, but to whose benefit would that be if not for you? It wouldn't be there for their benefit.
Well, obviously, but it's still their culture. I'm still experiencing it.
There is no their culture. There is what you remember is their culture.
It wouldn't be what I remember. It would be what they remember.
They wouldn't be doing it to benefit themselves or what was their, because there is no their culture.
Well, no, you're asking me if I would do what Koumba's doing. The answer is yes. I would do what Koumba's doing.
Before I say what I would do, hold on. Let me go to Jason, because he says, I was so surprised to see John Cena. That came out of nowhere for me. Cool, obviously. And he is a big deal. He's on a streak, too. He's doing great in Peacemaker, which I've yet to see, but now, given the rave reviews, I've got to see it.
It's so good. That is the only TV show intro I will not skip through.
The dance apparently is a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I know of it. I don't know it itself.
You will love it.
Jason also says in the chat, I'd want to see and stay at nice places too, but having people act out things, probably not. That's my answer. You stole my answer.
It would always be there in the back of your mind that it wasn't real.
I would be fine with that as long as I'm not delusional.
Bring on the Delulu. Bring it on.
You're in Ireland, and in the back of your mind, you always know that the experience you're having isn't authentic, really, because these people are just acting. It's not the same.
They don't want to be there, is my thing.
And you can lie to yourself for a while and be like, yes, but you're always going to know that it's not real.
Here's my response to that, because in a similar fashion to them, part of me is like, well, now that I know they have an expiration date. Within 10 years, they'll die. And if whatever I'm doing in some way accelerates that, I'm feeling like they are about not wanting to harm things, because knowing that whatever play acting that they perform may expend more of their energy.
Being on the caloric deficit, sure.
Did you see any milk cartons anywhere in that scenario, that 60 scenario? I didn't. It could be in the drinks, I guess, but I don't think there are. Which made me actually feel a little bit of harsh feelings towards Koumba, because he knew a week already of their caloric deficit problem. I don't know if he knows or if he's aware, if he cares, and knows specifically that they're reserving, as John Cena said in the video, or John Cena, he said, we reserve the freshest and whatever packaged windfall, whatever, for you over us. So whatever play acting he's doing only exacerbates the problem, and knows full well that anything that is on offer for everybody is more on offer for the rest of the survivors over the collective. So meaning while they're kings in their castle eating chicken legs and stuff like that, everybody else is kind of starving.
Of course, Carol didn't know when she did it, but that was the same effect when she had him fill up the entire sprouts. Right, but Carol did not know. Right.
I got very worked up about that.
Carol's not going to go back and be like, hey, come get your stuff out of the sprouts. I feel bad.
Sprouts, you're talking about the supermarket, right? Is that what it was?
Right. She's not going to have them come back and say, hey, come get all this food back out of the sprouts because you guys need it. She's going to be like, I don't care.
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know how, because I'm glad they left it where it was. It didn't look like she cared when she drove off and almost ran over Koumba's toes. But maybe that's just Koumba. I don't know how she feels about the collective after this necessarily. I know she doesn't want them to harvest her stem cells, but like you said in the chat,
she has eggs out there, because in episode 3, in our little flashback to the ice hotel, she says to Helen, we could have saved $100,000 and frozen my eggs right here. And they had made a joke earlier in the episode about the guy was like, you'll feel like and then he said some Finnish words, whatever, and was like a yolk and an egg. So it was like, oh, maybe she was referring to that. But what they said in this specifically was, we will not take stem cells out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Why add the out of your body part to that?
Right.
Especially after she made sure to mention earlier, like, oh, all the effing lawyers survived. They made sure to specify out of your body. The windfall is already out there.
Her eggs are her windfall, and they can eat them technically.
But they still can't inject her with anything. I mean, even if they created a solution specifically for her, they couldn't. That is the
highest order of their biological directive, is to convert.
Koumba can inject her.
That's a bigger conversation. I wonder if he might. That's interesting.
Any of the other 12 could.
But knowing that they don't even have to, because of the eggs that are out there, because that will have her stem cells, essentially.
Right. No, I'm saying after they create the virus
after they create it.
Right.
Do they have to?
Now they have
Did they mention they have to inject it?
Well, now they have to administer it to her somehow. Is that better phrasing, David?
No? They didn't need to do that with the original virus. They could just air, water, whatever.
Which is a little surprising, considering they have all these boundaries that they won't cross now, yet the initial administration of this virus, there was no permission involved. They didn't ask anybody prior to that.
Maybe they don't have to ask permission when they're giving it to you, but if you are immune after they've tried to give it to you and they have to do it a different way, maybe that is a different situation for them. I don't know. They have weird rules.
That's what I'm saying. Their rules are wish-washy.
Well, we could debate that. Are they harming Carol by converting her?
They would say no.
Yeah.
Carol would say yes.
Well, they didn't ask when they first started infecting people, but now that Carol is there and aware, they have to ask her before they just do it.
And let's even go further. When they first brought this on, it was on a person-by-person basis. I don't know if the phraseology was that they asked permission, but it seemed as though it was on a one-on-one basis.
We didn't see this on screen, but
no,
I think it was Zosha who explained it all, right? And she said that there was like some facility that they started with, and it was this isolated place. And I feel like there was some permission.
I feel like we technically saw that.
I think it was even before that. I think what Zosha was referring to happened before the rat in the lab.
Okay, I'll bite.
This is how I took it anyway.
They got the astronauts and stuff first.
Yes, exactly. And then once the situation happened with the rat in the lab and the bite and all of that, that was when things started to snowball and they went, oh crap, we need to kind of expedite this.
And further with the chemtrails, basically.
Right,
so boop, boop, boop. Well,
Right.
and also, I mean, if you technically think about it, the way it went down is that everybody was going deep into it on their own. They deciphered the chemicals in the signal, they went after it, and then they did it to themselves, basically. So those people are technically, hey, we didn't do anything here. You did it to yourselves, and now you are ourselves, basically. So maybe there are 3 different stages. The initial asking, the military and the astronauts and all those people, then the scientists who did it to themselves, basically. That was the one we got to see. Anyway, I just think we needed to hash that part out because when it comes to Carol, this is my worry, is that they know the eggs are already out there. The administration could just be as simple as through air. And they could make something up later about, oh, they have to inject you. And Koumba would have to be the one. But technically, Carol's on a clock now, too. Because like they said, they only figured out yesterday that they could do this. Taylor make it to... So everybody's on the clock, not just Carol. I just mean that even though Carol says, I do not consent, they have her eggs. So yeah, it's just a matter of when now, isn't it? We're on the same page of worry.
When they have her specific...
Well, when they, her tailor-made virus.
Yeah.
And it could be soon.
Right.
Very soon.
Which brings us to Koumba, doesn't it?
Well, Koumba declined. He said, no, thanks. I'm good for right now.
Okay. You ready for the howevers? There's one indicator that got me on this train of thought, and that was the monkey see, monkey do thing that he was doing with that breakfast. When Carol was doing her avocado toast schmear thing, putting the eggs and the bacon on top and then having it as like a weird open face sandwich, Koumba does the same thing, mimics her, and goes, they're delicious. Hey, whatever it was. But it was the way that he did that, as though he'd never had it before. That was weird, right?
I think we're kind of thinking the same thing. This was one of those moments while I was watching that I was excited to talk about.
Okay.
Because on our plate, we have all of this individual delicious food, bacon, eggs, avocado, we could toast, everything by itself.
Animal, mineral.
Everything by itself is wonderful. But then Carol puts it all together and creates this even better thing once all these individual yummy things are put together. And like you said, Koumba sort of mimics what she's doing. And he comes to the same revelation, like, oh, I would have done this separately. These items on my plate are individuals, but they're so much better together.
Say what you're saying, though. You're like, this is I love how you're saying it, by the way.
The hive mind was breakfast.
Oh, so you're tackling it more on a poetic level.
The human race,
it's all food.
The individual ingredients on the plate, but when you put them together as the hive mind, they're so much better.
Right. It's a flavor combination.
Yeah.
That's what humans are, a flavor. Wait, who's eating us? Anyway.
The aliens.
If you consider that eggs, bacon are technically human-derived proteins in that they are domesticated animals that only exist because of humans.
What?
Oh, as concepts. Okay, I see what you're saying. It took me a little bit to get there.
I'm not there. I need more.
Bacon doesn't exist without somebody having to think of cutting strips out of a pig and frying it in a pan to create it. As an
without
invention.
Humanity domesticating the pigs in order to get the bacon, then we would not have
there's
bacon.
So many steps to reach that invention, though.
Same thing with eggs. We would not have eggs if we had not domesticated chickens. Chickens are only what they are because humans domesticated them and made them what they are. Otherwise, they'd just be wild birds. Believe me, original chickens look nothing like the chickens we have now. They're different.
Like dinosaurs.
Right.
Dinosaurs.
And I mean, even corn, which is not a protein necessarily, but corn is human derived. It is taken from a seedy plant that was crossbred and then engineered by humans to be corn. And domesticated animals are the same way. So that is technically human-derived protein. It's not derived from humans, but by humans created.
Well, even the earliest humans didn't imagine to create bacon. All they did was eat meat until they discovered that they were running low on the meat that they didn't even cook at first until they discovered fire. You go down the list, it's like they didn't even think of eating the stuff that grew out of the ground until much later. They, too, were reaching a nutritional deficit, and so they decided to farm. And who speared that but the women, by the way? So I've heard from my classes.
Something else Carol's not considering. Even if she doesn't turn to hive mind, she's still going to starve to death because she's going to grow her own food. She's going to start her own farm. Who's going to provide her food if they all die?
She has much more of a high likelihood of surviving, even if she does the smallest of things like pick apples.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I wouldn't worry about her. She's not going to have the same lifestyle, to your point, as she's used to. But even then,
it's going to be like cavemen.
But for
pick
10 years,
apples.
she would have the high life.
Well, I mean, I think we just said a little bit earlier that the more high life they live, the more diminished resources are going to be faster. So,
But does Carol care?
no, not really. I don't know. Does she?
Uncomfortable. I know. I said it too. I said, yeah, maybe she does a little. She did have that face.
She has to think of them as people in some capacity. Otherwise, she wouldn't be upset when she killed 11 million of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's the tension between those two concepts alone is like her being spiteful of this thing happening, even though it's not their fault. They're just them. It's just who they are. They're not trying to be anything else, and they're trying not to be themselves, but that's the only directive that they actually have. Aside from all the other things that benefit her, is the directive. They give her preferential food. They put everything else above themselves except for the one thing, which is their prime directive, is to be fruitful and multiply. I love that.
I love the philosophical questions that you have to really think about. I've got another one for you.
Sure.
She vacuums up the
Human remains.
On her floor, but what's more disrespectful, sucking them up into a vacuum or using them for sustenance?
That was 100% me in that moment. Like, she couldn't leave her house with that mess. I don't think she thought about it as people at all.
No, I don't think so either.
She's just like, that can't be on my floor.
I love that
There's
she
no
had
way
all
I could leave my
the
house.
mask and everything on,
Gloves.
the gloves.
Yeah.
Like, you've already had your hands in it and played with it. It's
But now we're going to take precautions.
Well, also, you don't want to inhale it, too. It's kind of like what the John Cena said.
She's already inhaled it.
Well, she doesn't know that she did, too. It's the whole other thing of it. It's like, as long as I don't know, it didn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
woo,
Now that I'm aware, I have to do the right thing. Yeah.
Can't see. Is that what it is? You can't see me?
Yes. Good job,
Yeah.
David.
Okay, thank you,
Good
thank you.
job.
See, you can't see me. John Cena says anthropophagy, which is the anthropological and scientific term for cannibalism, the act of humans eating flesh or organs of other humans, stemming from the Greek words for man, anthropos, and to eat, phagein. While often associated with savage or primitive acts, it has complex cultural roots, including ritualistic practices for spiritual continuity, endocannibalism, assimilation of enemy traits, exocannibalism, survival, or even as a metaphor for cultural devouring, quote unquote, and transformation as seen in Brazil's modernist art movement. That's why I stay away from Brazil. I don't F with Brazil right there, especially their football fans. I'll never forget. This was side note. I remember reading this article a long time ago, and I'm not sure it's a myth, but I don't think when we were doing radio 20 years ago that it was, because we often cited weird stories that were true. There was this one football game where a ref made a quote unquote bad call and the fans came down and basically dismembered him. Was I wrong about that, Charity? I remember hearing about this, and I want this so badly to be a myth. But it basically reinforced my fear of mobs, which is something that I've brought up plenty of times before, but I've never got to tell this story. Was that exocannibalism? Or, yeah, assimilation of enemy traits. Yeah, there you go. It's exocannibalism.
Well, they didn't eat them, right? They just pulled them apart.
They did not eat him. I don't know. Probably, maybe not. But you never know with those Brazilians.
David, we have friends in Brazil.
I do have friends from Brazil.
You do.
Personal friends, actually, too.
My real life friends from Brazil actually reside in Canada right now. But
that is so weird. Like, it's the exact opposite. Look, they're cold now. They're cold 24/7, except for a couple days of the year. Going back to that scene, though, about her vacuuming, I mean, I get it. The mess thing, I totally get.
I get it. I'm just saying, is it any less disrespectful to vacuum up remains?
I would argue it's more disrespectful to vacuum them up.
Right, because you're saying the philosophical questions, right? The philosophical questions of, well, you're deleting your potential food, basically.
If
also.
you could use them for sustenance.
Yeah.
Right. You're wasting it.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
Waste.
I am
Anthropophagy.
Anthropophagy. I said it right the first time. Why am I having a hard time now?
So when I was in veterinarian assistant training many years ago, one of the things we had to learn about was when dogs ingest their own stuff. And that is called
feces, you mean?
Yes, that is called coprophagia, and that is why I knew what anthropophagy was, because I knew what anthro was, and I knew what popophagia meant too.
It's funny because I knew where you're going with this. I didn't think I would be grossed out by it, but then when you said it, I was.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Is it worse than eating humans?
Eating
yes.
Yeah.
Shoe poop? Shmoop doop?
Yes. I will eat a human over
Honestly, Charity,
any day.
that's a great question. I did bring it up last week. It turned out to be I was wildly wrong about the crystals or salts or whatever being feces. Remember feces? I said it was.
Oh yeah.
Instead of body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ask John Cena. Was some of it feces at least? He can't answer. Or they, I guess, is the pronoun of choice.
One of the things they talked about on the official podcast was they had to fly to Tampa to get John Cena to film this segment. And of course, he had no idea what it was. So
he just did it, right?
At the
Straight
end,
up?
he was like, I can't wait till the show comes out so I know what I just talked about.
That's the best.
And I was like, can you imagine?
Well, because then you have to kind of nudge him in a direction.
Right, like this,
right? And
this is what you're
doesn't
going to
know
do.
anything.
And we're talking about, what is this? What is this?
I love that so much.
Oh, it's the same as the phone call that Ray got, and it was Patrick Fabian.
Patrick Fabian, which let
stuff
me
like
say
that.
2 more times with the message this episode. This show is really a sitcom that is masquerading as a fantasy sci-fi show because it is so funny. Her reaction when she's listening to the messages again is she's like walking around kicking the plants and like, how long it took the TV to come up out of the console when she wanted to show him the video, and it took like 30 seconds for it to come out.
This is definitely a Vince Gilligan thing. He knows exactly when to stretch out a scene and make his viewers sit in the uncomfortableness that's happening. And it is so genius and it is so effective.
It's how television used to be, though.
Just genius.
You do realize that, though, right?
He read Stephen King's book on writing, and one of the things Stephen King talks about is how people want to see the process of what is going on if it's done well, if it's interesting. Like, for instance, the 3-minute opening segment of episode 2 when we watched Zosha walk to the plane turn every individual engine on. It was so long, but like people like to see that happening because deep down we really like to see that stuff. We'd like to see people doing everyday tasks, but we like to see it done all the way through.
In a way, we're culturally, for the most part, ritualistic beings. From the coffee we do or whatever you drink in the morning, there's like a process that you adhere to. And so when you see that process play out, it's like, oh yeah, they're like us. This is why I'm saying, like, a lot of these shows lately or the last 20 to 30 years, it's dialogue heavy. There's not enough silence in between the takes of them doing things. Obviously, there's no going to the bathroom yet, except for that one scene in Fear the Walking Dead with Morgan.
2 scenes because we saw Dwight on the side of the road too.
Right. Right. Well, we've seen that at least in shows, the whole pissing beside the roadside or whatever, or a tree. Sometimes in horror movies where I get the most nervous. Anyway, this is probably as good a place as any to mention Jainism, because I'd wanted to actually bring it up a while now, but kind of wanted to let a few episodes go down the list before we brought it up. I think it's really important. Jainism is an ancient Indian religion focused on ahimsa, nonviolence, self-control, and liberation, moksha, through asceticism, venerating perfected souls, jinas, like Mahavira, rather than a creator god, with core tenets including non-injury, truthfulness, non-stealing, celibacy, and non-attachment. Jains believe all living beings have souls, jivas, leading to strict vegetarianism and ethical practices, and the tradition is split into major sects like Digambra and Svetambra, following the teachings from scriptures called agamas. Basically, no harming, no maiming, no eating, no killing of living beings. The core beliefs and practices are ahimsa, the supreme principle of nonviolence towards all living beings, influencing dietary, vegetarian or vegan, professional, and daily life. And the whole purpose of doing this is to avoid having to reincarnate. They want to end the cycle of reincarnation. Karma and reincarnation. Actions, karma, determine rebirth with the goal of ending the cycle through right faith, knowledge, and conduct. Jinas, or tirthankaras, spiritual teachers who have achieved liberation, with Mahavira being the 24th and last in the current cycle. 5 vows, the Mahavratas. For ascetics, ahimsa, satyam, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, celibacy, and aparigraha, non-attachment or possessions. Jiva and ajiva, reality is composed of souls, jiva, and non-living matter, ajiva, with souls trapped in material bondage. So you're anthropomorphizing non-living things too, which can get extreme. The key aspects is there's no creator god. Jains venerate liberated souls, jinas, as guides, not creators. Asceticism, monks and nuns practice extreme self-discipline, sometimes wearing masks and sweeping paths to avoid harming microscopic life. Sects, primarily divided into Digambra, sky-clad, more ascetic, and Svetamra, white-clad. History, an ancient Indian religion with traditions tracing back to Rishabhanatha, with historical evidence pointing to figures like Mahavira, 6th century BCE. The symbols, the Jain symbol is a palm hand with a wheel, chakra, in the center, representing ahimsa, with symbols for the soul, jiva, deities, and the path to liberation. So yeah, their whole thing is to get to the point where we don't have to reincarnate. If we do all the things to not harm any form of life, then we don't have to reincarnate. We stop it. Again, been on my mind since the very beginning. I love that that's comes into play in this series as this hive mind. They too wish to not reincarnate or something. Right? Because what's the point? What is the whole reason for this directive, if you really think about it?
We don't even really know if they are reproducing at all. If they're just
That
not
occurred to me too.
reproducing, then there's no reincarnation. Unless they can come back as like a bug or an animal.
Which is their worst nightmare if they're Jains, but they're not, probably. But they talked a lot about death. They talk about 100,000 people a day die to accidents and old age.
I'm surprised that there's still accidents happening.
Cars still break, ladders still fall. I mean, things still happen. You could be hive mind and still trip over a rock in the road. Things are still going to happen.
Yeah, 365 million people die a year, according to that number, 100,000 people. And there are 7,348,292,411. And okay, if they use 8 to 12% of the, oh man, I don't want to do all this math. I decided moratorium, no math. But if they're 364 million to suit 1/8 of their nutritional diet, but they do eat, like John Cena eats 2,400 calories of this stuff. So 8 of these cartons a day, or 8 cups of these a day. It's a good thing the earth isn't filled with John Cenas. Let's just put it that way. It's a lot of cartons.
I wonder if they're all maintaining, or if they have somehow figured out what the ideal weight should be for a human and then get everybody to that.
I think they're aware of that. You're saying, are they doing dieting basically to slim down?
Sure. If John Cena could get away with only 2,000 calories a day for survival, then maybe he does that and gets down to whatever body weight is ideal. They know everything, so they would know what an ideal weight would be for each individual. Obviously, it's going to be different.
Would be that a lot of it depends on what job they're doing, because you don't want to make it to the point that they get weak, and everybody's body is different. Some people are going to get to the point that they're weak from not having enough sustenance at different points than others. So like, I'm not saying they couldn't diet. Maybe they put them just below maintaining or something, but who knows?
That's the question I'm posing.
Well, the question is, are they worried about, isn't it?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Sharon, you're jumping ahead to the yes, they are. I'm not sure that they are.
If they're worried about starving, they can cut down.
I guess that also depends on what their ultimate end game is. Because if you have an end game where you don't care if 10% of the 10 million people die every 10 years, then you don't care.
If that's their strategy. Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, because they've thought about all the things they can't do and live in the world they inhabit with those rules implied. Because I think two things can be true. They say they're maintaining the weight of the individual node at their current weight. If they said they were planning on giving them a weight loss program, they would have said it. They didn't, which is interesting to me that they didn't mention that.
That's interesting to me as well.
Right? So I don't agree that they would slim them down. I mean, I think they should.
But they should, because that would stretch out their resources much farther.
100%. But they aren't. They would have mentioned it otherwise. Okay, that's cool. That's something notable.
Because they did use the word maintain, which is why this is sticking in my head. And I'm like, why though? Because why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you be at the optimal weight for your height is what I'm saying.
Right. And also take into consideration, like what Sharon said, if you're doing a physically labored job, then you need more energy. You need more input if you're doing more output. So
with all the transportation options, you could always swap out one person for the other. The person from TGI Fridays can fly. Anyway, absolutely. There's a bigger question if you don't mind me asking it. Then, okay, it seems as though there's no intention. There's no end game that they know of.
Right.
Because if they did, they would be gearing, they would do exactly what you say. They would slim down and do the things, but they have no intention. They're not an intentional being. Their only intention is to not harm and maim and whatever living things, which takes the blame even further away from them.
They don't even know
their directive.
We have no need for all the crap you buy on Temu now.
Right.
because nobody wants it. So all the people that work in these factories and all the people that work in the fields, what are these people doing now?
They're all in the hospital.
Aren't they just doing what they can? You know, if I think for a long while with all the resourcing, they would probably be, and it seems like that's what they're doing. They'd probably be fixing the things that we couldn't because we couldn't get together. We couldn't cohese on a singular task. We busy our lives with the things that we want to be talented with, and we provide that to the populace, but we don't do the things that we need. We do the things that we want to do to provide whatever thing we want for others. We don't focus on need, we focus on want.
Sure. Well, we know they're working in the plants, at least producing their food.
Oh, sure, but that's not going to cover the millions and millions and millions and millions of people that aren't doing anything. What are the zookeepers doing? What are the corporate people doing? We don't need them anymore.
All these people focusing on need over want because there's no currency, right? The only currency is living now at this point. So I think there's a small, minuscule answer you can get out of this, and that is obviously you would redirect these resources to at least have the potential of things that would be achieved via windfall. So there'd probably be more orchards than there would be grain, right? Things hanging over things coming up and out because that they won't fall down.
Right.
Exactly. So I would be growing things that fall down from things.
You don't need 1 million people in the field to pick up fallen apples. Especially
but you have them.
But you don't need them. Maybe that's why it doesn't matter to them if 10 million people die off, because those 10 million people are unnecessary.
This brings up a bigger thought. What Carol Sturka says right before we end up going to Manusos, which is, she says point blank to Koumba, there's a way to reverse this. Why is that important? Because if you can reverse it for their sake, they have many more survivors to work on their problem. Survivors that won't have the same hangups as this hive mind being has about not harming and not killing and whatnot. And it wouldn't be necessarily killing them, right? Asking a being to kill themselves necessarily, right? Because then that's a debatable topic. Is peeling off at least 1 billion of the collective back to their normal state? Is it achievable? Was this something we went into enormous detail about? But wouldn't peeling off some of their numbers actually work to save them? You'd be relying on the good graces of those individuals to do that, but wouldn't that help their problem, or wouldn't it equalize their nutritional deficit problem a little bit?
So you want the virgins to go jump in the volcano? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, right. So that's the problem, right? And not all of them, just a little bit of them, not to eat, to work on the problem, to build the robots.
Why would they want to, turn the few people that remain, and why would they have turned everybody in the first place?
Well, the first question's easy. That's their prime directive. They can't help that, right? They have no intention when it comes to that. It's just what they're programmed to do.
Why wouldn't they have left some people unturned in the first place if they needed them to be farmers?
I refer you to the first one. Again, no intention.
Maybe that's why they don't care if 10 million people die, because that's just 10 million less mouths they have to feed that are doing nothing because there's nothing for them to do.
Jason says, I don't think everyone could get to an optimal weight because, for example, you still need strong people for harder jobs, etc. My question would be, what harder jobs? What jobs are they doing? Give me an example of what one of these people would need their strength for. Also, that would be their optimal weight, because they've taken that into consideration. So that still would be their optimal weight if they needed that extra strength to complete their job. But I'm still curious, what does that mean? What job is harder? Jason says, I was thinking like construction, lifting things, something like that. But what are they constructing? Because if they're putting anything new up, it means they're destroying something, which we know they won't do.
Let me add to that because, okay, this is very interesting. We're piecing together just like what I think is what the hive mind is doing. I think just because they can't actually build the robots doesn't mean they can't build the parts. They just can't assemble them. So I think there's a lot of things that they can do that they just can't complete, because in completing them, the things that they build would lead to the things that they are not allowed to do. But they can get just to the point. I would even say they can get just to the point of building the robots but not turning them on. But then again, I think that's a bridge too far, I think, for them. I could see how that would be the logic.
Like you said, David, they're still building them with intention to kill life. So
well, I could see them
they
building
wouldn't even
the
be able
parts,
to do that.
because those parts could be interchangeable, like nuts and bolts.
But if the intention behind it is to eventually get to a point where they can, for example, harvest wheat, then they wouldn't even be able to begin that process.
The question is really where the line is. If they have multiple intentions, meaning like if they build all the parts to the point of saying, okay, maybe these survivors might need them. If they're delulu enough to say that, and even get to the point of like, oh, we just left an instruction man. No, in case you wanted to, I don't know.
Here's a key to the future.
Right.
We won't have
if you feel
lumber
like it.
because you can't cut trees down, which brings up another complete problem, which is the encroachment of nature. Because if you can't cut down the trees or cut grass or cut weeds
100%.
or cut vines, then everything is going to be overgrown.
Everything's going to be disgusting because you can't even clean a surface without killing the microbes
Right.
on it.
Is that why they don't take baths? Do they not take baths and change clothes because they can't kill the microbes on their bodies?
That is a topic we broached almost in the previous episodes because they were still in the same clothing too.
Yep, exactly. They can't clean anything. So
they're already almost 2 weeks in.
Ew.
But see, we don't know that they can't kill microbes.
We don't.
This is gonna be tough. We're gonna find out in the next episode.
We can't
for
kill
sure.
living things.
Right. Leave microbes off the table. You still can't mow lawns or cut back trees.
Nope.
We've seen it in The Walking Dead, right? Everything is overgrown.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to survive in that?
Yep.
In 10 years, when nature has taken over everything, what is Carol going to do then? She can go get her little gas-powered lawnmower and keep her little yard mowed and maybe like right around her. But other than that, is she going to mow everything in Albuquerque?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a good thing she's in the desert.
Right? But even still, I mean...
But the rest of the world, yeah.
The problem they're going to have in the desert is overpopulation of animals.
Oh, yeah. Animals,
overpopulation
bugs,
of deer and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, even those animals will probably go more inland where the prey is, technically. Like, the prey could also be the collective.
Well, I mean, there's a reason those animals live in that environment because that's where they live. So it's not likely to change.
Whoa, wait. So you just introduced something. I don't think this is the thing I wanted to say, but incidentally, I think it is. What makes us the apex predator?
Thumbs.
No, that makes us gives us utility because we constantly adapt. If we have an encroachment of a T-Rex, we will work together, adapt to that current situation in order to beat the T-Rex so that they stay at the bottom of the food chain where they're extinct, so they're non-existent threat.
Well, but even if a T-Rex did show up, they couldn't kill it. So it would be Carol on her own battling a T-Rex, and I don't think that would turn out super, super great.
That's not my point. Thumbs. My point is that isn't the inability of this hive mind collective consciousness to adapt, doesn't that put them at the bottom of the food chain, essentially? And there's many implications from that, right? Because if the animals start getting wind, literally and figuratively, that these beings, that maybe they emit a smell, wouldn't that be something? Well, and they will if they don't shower.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Some animals do respond to the funk that people produce, but assuming, especially the ones that are addicted to that the dead pheromone, right?
The fear hormone? Oh no,
not the fear boner hormone. But anyway, my point is that if they're adapting to the stinky human portion and they go after that's the hive mind thing, right? The hive mind can't harm, kill, and we just found out they can't even interfere with life. The process of or guide or whatever, right? Guiding it, or guiding it towards anything.
If someone in the hive mind were to be attacked by one of those wolves, they'd all just stand there watching it.
And let it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
so why wouldn't they encroach on human territory? What would normally be human territory? That's all I mean is that that's a new problem.
That would fall under the accidents part of the people that 100,000 people that die a day.
Which answers another question I had, which is,
attack.
Okay, wouldn't they be more mindful to not have accidents, but then the overcompensation of animals encroaching on human wildlife, that would just immediately take over that portion of it, of less accidents, is animal attacks, natural disasters, etc. Well, this is fascinating. I didn't think I would even get an answer to that question. I didn't even think I'd have a chance to ask that question, right? A more mindful lifestyle doesn't mean that they won't be attacked by ferocious animals who change their patterns to adapt for humans that can't adapt.
Yeah.
Ideally, there should be a balance between nature and human progress, right? But here we've got the two extremes. We've got our...
For our sake,
previous world, and now we have this world, which is... Are they going to keep building cars? Why? Nobody needs cars anymore.
They have no directive.
It's the antithesis of progress. So it's like tipping the scale in the other direction. But what we need is like a happy medium in there.
Honestly, there's an answer to this that I really want to expound on, but there's so much conversation because it goes into what makes up a human and competing interests.
We're asking questions because we don't know what the end goal is here. And I don't even think it has anything to do with the
I don't
hive
think they
mind
know
itself.
what it is.
They don't. And like, I mean, I've said this before. I don't even think it's the end game of the hive mind because they don't know. Like you said, we just talked about it. They don't even know what the end game is. They think it's extinction, but I don't know.
Oh, well, I would say this because I want to shout out my sister because she's been watching what we've been doing and she loves the show, by the way. Our show and Pluribus.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
She cited Adina, and I didn't get it at first, but now I kind of do. She cited the Twilight Zone episode To Serve Man. And isn't this a so much more elaborate version of that? For those of you who do not know to what we
I've
are
seen
referring,
them all, but yeah, refresh.
This one is when aliens come down to Earth and they provide the human race with cures and solve their economic problems, etc. And then it starts out not in medias res. It starts out from the end, and you don't know what's happening. This man is on a spaceship. He's writing his memoirs, what's happening. And then he backtracks and backfills you on the story of how he ended up here. We're in this weird place that he's in. They drop a book errantly in the UN, I think it was, or what was the UN at the time. Cryptologists worked hard on deciphering the language. And the lady at the end, as he's about to board the ship, because everybody's boarding these ships, going to their planet. Obviously, these benevolent beings, let's go to their home planet. Oh, they're offering a ride. And then she's screaming to him as he's boarding the spaceship. We deciphered the language. Deciphered the cover. It's To Serve Man. Dun, dun. It's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook. Yeah.
Yeah. They're eating the humans. So my sister said, isn't this like that? And now I kind of realize that maybe it's that this is the aliens version of, if it is aliens, it probably is, whatever, that they're basically programming the humans to be even more docile, to lose their adaptation, to make them herd animals, essentially.
Didn't someone else say that early on? Who was that? Oh,
that was you.
That's right. It was me.
Yeah. But you didn't say it like elaborately and dramatically.
I didn't say it smart enough.
No.
That's what you're saying. I didn't
I'm
use
just
my,
giving you
I
credit.
didn't use my
I'm
big
just,
words.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm helping you out. That's what all I was doing is helping you out personally.
Sure.
With your theory that you deserve full credit for.
Oh, okay. Didn't sound like
also
it.
shouting out my sisters. That's fine too. My other sister.
I do remember that episode of The Twilight Zone. Yeah. And that it is very, very similar. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Not. This is how they should have done it.
Well,
Pluribus.
But same idea.
They brought world peace before they landed.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that we wouldn't fight.
Can I throw out a crazy theory?
Yeah, that's all we're doing now.
Okay.
That's it.
The episode's over.
Crazy. It's all
we ended
craziness.
a long time ago.
Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Yes.
A robot cannot harm human or allow harm. Number 2, it must obey humans unless conflict with law 1. Or 3, must protect self unless conflict with law 1 or 2.
iRobot?
Yeah. What if this is actually a race of robots? Maybe they're trying to exterminate humans, but they have to follow the law of robotics. And so they send out the signal that whatever, say, humans or human-like beings.
You're saying, what if it is robots that sent this message to the humans to... Okay, I see what
you're
saying. Connect that. Yeah, I didn't connect that just right. Yeah.
That would be why they can't...
humans were replaced.
That would be why they can't harm anything, and why they would have been able to build something that was strong enough to send a signal 600 million light years. Why they would be able to...
On an arc?
Dissect the RNA of humans in order to know what goes in it. I don't know. Just a thought. They can't harm anything is what kind of threw it up there.
Let's keep
It'd
going
be like
with that.
I fully intend to keep going with that.
Yeah, if we say that it's robots, what do you believe their end game could be with the human race? David already knows because he is a robot. So you just sit.
David, tell us.
Okay. I'm going to not answer the question, and I'm going to move on to Koumba. This will tie back. There is a theory floating out there, and I can't take full credit for this theory, but I did think this at the time. I want to go back to the monkey see, monkey do that Koumba does with Carol. I love what you said, Rachel, but I thought something completely differently. You were going isn't it poetic if we bring all these things together and it's like the hive mind? I love that so much, but I thought something completely different. What if Koumba is Locutus of Borg? I'm going to look at blank faces now. Ready?
That's a Star Trek reference.
Oh
yes.
God.
Okay. Wait.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Because if the robots are robots, because again, there is play here. There is definite play homage here to the hive mind being of the Borg, let's say. And if it is robots, they're a sort of pseudo organic mechanistic being, collective consciousness, right? And what is their goal? Their goal is assimilation. That's it. To assimilate cultures, beings, to make a more perfect union, e pluribus unum, right? That's their whole raison d'etre, is to keep assimilating, to make a more perfect being of all the beings, to make a bigger them. That is one thing. And they also work in distributed nodes, etc. Okay, whatever. Keep going. What if Koumba is a Locutus of Borg? Locutus of Borg was not the typical Borg. What the Borg realized was there are a lot of humans. When they were trying to assimilate Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise at the time, they realized there's a lot of human beings and they will not be assimilated easily. So they created Locutus. What was Locutus? Locutus of Borg was an emissary of the Borg. He was of them, but acted somewhat independently to negotiate a surrender of the human race, essentially, to be able to communicate the desires of the Borg to the human race, or the Federation as it were, so that they would have a peaceful transition of power, essentially. Didn't work out for them. Thankfully, this is the unwinnable situation I was mentioning in one of the prior episodes, because that's how the season ended and they brought it back and then they rescued him somehow and whatnot. What if Koumba is that? Because it occurred to me, if they only thought of the solution a day ago, can we make an assumption that Koumba has been having sex with a bunch of these people? And if he's been having sex with a bunch of these people and they get a hold of some of his genetic material, because we do know that fluids do transfer in having sex with people as a general rule. Are you catching my drift? And if they're harvesting those
No,
fluids...
David, be more specific.
Sure. Okay, so in the process of having...
no, I'm kidding.
Okay, good. Glad. See, I just spared you.
Yeah, gross.
So Carol and Koumba have a similar situation, but I contend that maybe they have the genetic material already. And if the monkey see, monkey do situation is an indicator, then he's already either a Locutus, he's a hybrid, or he's not. And the process of assimilating one to the collective is a slower process than initially when they were having the seizures and stuff.
So what about that scene makes you go this route? Because he's trying to imitate her?
Yeah, there was something sort of bizarre about the way he did that, because you have to imagine that this guy has tried a bunch of crazy foods and things that he, from his past, from his future, he strikes me, and this may be a bigger commentary about who Koumba is to begin with. He strikes me as somebody who always wanted to play these fantasies out, but didn't have the means to do it.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
So we're nodding our heads. Good.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's the case, it's been 2 weeks. I'm sure he's been on a tear of trying new things, because it's not only just about traveling. That's something that we would all want. It's about experiencing things you've never tried before. How long would it take to get bored if you keep thinking of new cool things to do? And some of those things are food. And it didn't occur to him to mash avocado and bacon and whatnot. I could see the hive mind being like, well, let me experience this meal through the lens of Carol, but I'm not Carol, right? I don't know. It just seemed odd the way he was reacting to trying this thing out.
I saw it as he was like, oh, I've never tried this particular combination before. Like, I saw it as him being open to learning new things and being open to Carol in general, which he is the only one who is out of all of the people. Well, because they don't know Manusos yet. I saw the copycatting with the food as just, she's showing me something I didn't know before.
Yet another thing that I've yet to try. And thank you, Carol, for that. I agree with you on that, too.
He has a real deep sympathy for her, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said,
he mentions on the phone.
Right.
Yep.
He's talking to his girlfriends. She's so lonely and he could have left. He is trying to connect with her. He doesn't have to do that.
He stops just short of her saying, I'll just get another sweet. We can talk.
And he's like,
talk later. That look on his face. Because we've all been there in a way. Like, we don't want to break somebody's heart at the same time. Like, please go home.
So, David, I think if your theory were correct, he would want
wild.
her to
I don't know
stay
that I
there,
believe
right?
it.
Koumba would want her to stay there. Instead, we see him sort of like panic when she says she wants to stay, right?
She says something very flippant. I get it. You like your space. I get it. Who also wanted their space?
Them.
The hive mind. Okay.
I think the whole episode really is about loneliness, and Carol is
agreed
even more completely alone now than she was before, especially when she found out that they were all communicating with each other and nobody.
Yes, the survivors
Most of
don't
them
even
didn't
want her around.
I'm sure this is how she felt when she was younger, when she was a teenager. She felt like she was on the outside looking in.
But way worse.
She was left out of everything. People wouldn't accept her for who she is, and now it's happening again, only this time it's the only 12 people left in the world that aren't robots or whatever, and it's got to be crushing. And the only person she ever had to mitigate that in the before times was Helen, and now Helen is gone.
But people loved her. and her writing.
Her fans who didn't know her or meet her.
I mean, it's something.
They saw the public face, Carol.
No, I think that's an incredibly lonely feeling.
Let me just say it in words. Literally, everybody on the planet doesn't want anything to do with her. Let's say those words out loud. That is unprecedented. That's an unprecedented concept to wrap your head around.
Then imagine that the one person who's shown you any care or attention, or he took the wine glass out of her hand and covered her up with a blanket when she was sleeping. He says on the phone, she's so lonely. He makes her breakfast. But then she's like, hey, what if I stay here? And you can just see the look on her face. Like, it just destroys her that the very last person who has any inclination to talk to her or speak to her also doesn't want her there.
GTFO. Exactly. I don't think it pays to compare before the fall and after the fall, because I have to make an assumption that people like her, generally speaking.
I'm not saying it's the same thing, but what I'm saying is, as a kid, she was ostracized for who she was by the people she cared about, her family, and the people she was supposed to love her. And so now that is just being reinforced at this particular time because she doesn't have anybody to be a buffer for that. Helen was the buffer. Helen is gone. The only person that even could have remotely been a buffer for her doesn't want her to stay there. Doesn't even want her in the same city, basically.
Right. While you were talking, it just occurred to me that the conversation with Koumba, the champagne, the passing out on the couch, the crying in the bathroom, the making breakfast the next day, all of that is basically a hookup gone wrong. Doesn't that play out in the way, like, you think you're going to have a thing with the other person and then it doesn't work out and they pass out instead, or they throw up in the bathroom, right? No, this is not nobody's experience.
She thought she was going to come in and have this big revelation.
And the nice guy makes breakfast in the morning,
She thought she was going to come in and have this big revelation, and she was going to just stun him into believing that, oh my gosh, you're right, we need to do something about this. And instead he was like, yeah,
old hat.
I've already know that, and you need to leave. So
right. Exactly. And he can't get her to leave no matter what. And then he cooks her breakfast thinking, okay, here's the nutrients to get you on your way. Get out. So this is only me. I guess this is me.
I mean, I feel like in that phone call, he was like asking them, like, can't you just let her come back to her? You know, because she's so lonely.
Right. Yeah.
It's not his responsibility to take care of Carol. And he doesn't want that responsibility at all. He likes not having the responsibility. He likes living in his fantasy world.
Right. As compassionate as he has his wants and desires, and he puts them above that human desire to have compassion. In fact, he does say to her right before she leaves, what does she say to her about the hive mind? They do want to come back, but
they just need a change of heart.
She needed to have a change of heart. Interesting way of phrasing that, right? Okay.
She has done nothing to make any step towards them in any way. Even pretending to take a step towards them was just a fake out so she could try to get information out of Zosha.
Or out of spite.
She has not put forward anything in any kind of way to be friendly. That wasn't a scam.
As the TikTokers would say, why should she?
Well, I mean, apparently she should, because she's lonely, but she's just doubling down on it.
I agree. I was goading you so you'd give that answer. We don't have to agree, but I just so happen to. And so there you go. Because I think part of what makes you human also is having compassion for an individual, even if it's a collective individual.
But they're not an individual.
They are an individual, but they're a different kind of being. And if we're to anthropomorphize them in a way that we are familiar with, then, I mean, they don't have adaptation skills.
They're not individuals, but like I said, Carol still has to see them as human in some capacity, or she wouldn't care that they were dying.
Right, because they express care, need, lack of harm. Because, I mean, harm reduction is an inherent human trait. I mean, or I don't know about inherently human. All living beings do not want to be harmed. They want to limit harm. But some desires get outpaced by others. And sometimes people realize that they need to harm themselves in order to achieve certain goals or strain themselves. I don't know.
Like breaking a bone and having to set it.
To reset it. Ugh.
Yeah. That is going to cause pain. But you have to do it in order to heal.
Right. Can you imagine if Carol broke one of her bones? Wouldn't they have a hard time justifying causing more pain?
If Carol broke a bone and she didn't have a phone anywhere within reach, she would just lie there because nobody's there to find her.
She'd just suffer.
I want to go way back for just a second. I know Carol wasn't hurt in this scene, but when she has the grenade and Zosha throws it out the window and then Zosha dives on her and pushes her to the ground, She could have potentially gotten hurt. Obviously, the grenade would have caused more damage, but Zosha throwing her to the ground and saving her life potentially could have also caused harm, but she still did it.
And it did probably.
Maybe. I mean, maybe she got rug burn on her hands or, just small
injuries. She has cuts and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So they're obviously able to cause some harm to avoid big harm.
The hierarchy of, in order to stop death, we're willing to cause harm.
Right.
But if it's not to prevent death, we won't. But it's not the death of themselves, it's the death of others. That's the difference.
So now I wonder if one of the 13 survivors were to be attacked by a wolf, if they would step in and help them.
If it was a living thing that was threatening their lives.
Sure.
Well,
I don't
what
think
they
so.
would do is say, wolf, wolf, come over here and eat me instead. And then the wolf would leave Carol alone.
You know what?
Really, that was what they would do.
That might be it. Yeah.
I just the picture
based on that
just
incident
painted in my head.
Yeah. No, but that's right. That sounds
just
right.
Standing there, calm as hell, going, wolf,
wolf. Wait, let's do it again.
Wolf,
wolf, wolf, wolf. Come get me. I'm docile and I will not fight back. Here's my stink gland. Why am I putting it in the mic?
Ew.
You're not going to smell it any better.
This is not smell-o-vision tape.
I just took a shower.
That just painted a
Why are you
hilarious
bullying
picture
me?
in my
I wish
head.
you were a hive mind.
Okay, but they would
would be like 12 of them. Wolf, wolf.
Okay.
Anyway.
So they would offer themselves up. I wonder though.
That would
I
make
really
sense.
do. I wonder. Zosha didn't jump on the grenade and sacrifice herself
Well, I mean, it was
to
a
save.
little harder to do.
Well, because it was way more likely that Carol survives doing it the way she did it rather than if she threw it. So, for one thing, she threw the grenade outside, so that wasn't very helpful. But by throwing herself on Carol, she shielded Carol in a way better fashion than she would have if she had thrown herself on it.
Well, then her body pieces would have created shrapnel and still potentially killed Carol.
I'm going to move on. I don't even want to address that. I just love that hangs there for some reason. Her body pieces. Her shrapnel. This is a good entry point to Manusos because Carol is going to have a brand new fan now.
Yes.
He's obviously watching this video that they actually did translate and put subtitles to on a VHS cassette.
Love it.
Love it. Start to finish.
This also tells us that they are seeing into his home more than we think that they are because they know he has a VHS player and didn't just send the disc.
I wouldn't say that. If he had a boss, that boss would have known that there's only a VHS player in there. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what they know.
Okay.
Any customer who's been in the
customer that
office,
ever went there. Yeah,
and
exactly.
apparently,
okay.
I had theorized that it was his mom
You were
couple
totally
episodes
right.
ago.
And
it was his mom. So like she's probably been in there before.
But the twist is that she's a bitch.
I wonder how they didn't know about him for 33 hours. Maybe his mom thought he was dead or something. Like maybe they were that estranged.
He said, "I know you're not my mom because my mom was a bitch."
He was dead.
Right. So obviously, I mean, it could have been 30 years since they've seen each other. Yeah.
You're painting such an interesting picture because it sounds to me that, oh boy, that nobody really cares about this guy to know whether he'd be dead or alive. Not the customers, not the boss or whatever. If he's the boss, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Wow.
Kind of seems like
so like the polar opposite of Carol, who has
she's beloved,
of adoring fans. Yeah.
I love these little archetypes of survivors. It's really cool.
I appreciated him pop starting his car because I have done that many times as a poor person with crappy cars. He had an MG, baby. I want that MG.
Pop into first gear down the hill. Yeah.
Pop start the car.
It was a roadster, right?
For people who don't know, that is what you do when you have a manual car and your battery dies. That is how you can start your car. I had a little pickup truck that I had to pop start every day when I came out.
Darn.
Yep.
Wow.
But once I started, it was fine.
You know that black smoke billowing out of the end afterwards?
Yeah. So Minosos, so we've only ever seen him in what I'm going to call his office that he sort of converted into like a makeshift living situation. But obviously he has a place that he lives because we saw him go to his apartment, which makes me wonder, why didn't he go there before now?
I feel like it's because he was behind a fence there and it made him feel safe. For one thing, he has no idea what's going on as far as we know. I'm assuming at some point one of the joins showed up and said, hey, this is what's going on. And he probably said, get out. And since then, he hasn't bothered to find out anything because he knows enough to know that something's going on.
And if it was his mom, he's going to be even more
freaked out.
His mom came and was like, hey, this is what, and he's like, get out. And then he locked the gate behind him and was afraid to go out. Carol at least knows that they're not going to hurt her or whatnot.
Right.
He doesn't know that.
She knows the rules.
You thought Carol didn't trust them. He doesn't trust them at all.
So instead, he was afraid to go to his home. Plus, there was no fence around his home. I'm sure he maybe felt like more vulnerable there.
He's in an apartment, yeah.
Because he was just in an apartment building and not behind a locked gate.
It's interesting that they would choose to send his mom there, because if her mind is part of the collective, then they should know they do not have a good relationship and that her presence would not encourage him to.
That's a complex problem too, because if she was a bitch and he knew she was a bitch, there's an implication there.
That she didn't know their relationship was strained?
No, not that she, well, I mean, I'm sure she knows.
There was no other option. There was nobody else who was close to him. And
in any way, shape, or form.
So
that he would trust.
In that case, just send a stranger. Then it wouldn't matter who showed up.
You have a strained relationship with your mom and all of a sudden she just shows up at your door. At least that's like going to get you to like say, hey, I'll listen to you for a minute, or at least get your attention. Whereas just having a stranger show up isn't going to have the same. Carol had nobody, but they sent her someone who looked like Raban. This guy didn't even have a book.
A fantasy.
Right, to model it after. So,
but they didn't even have the wherewithal to, because they don't know him and nobody knows him. That's what it feels like. So that's the one half.
They are not known for their social cues, as we have said before.
I don't know if they don't have social cues. If you have the collective knowledge of anybody who has like pickup skills and psychology, and if you have all that knowledge, you'd probably
We've talked about all the weird decisions they've made, like telling Carol about the present that Helen sent her when obviously it was not going to make her happy.
They still think that they're there, or that Helen is there, or part of this collective. They don't register the fact that to Carol, Helen's gone. Let me get to the other side of this equation. Imagine seeing your mom, who you think is a bitch, and she's not a bitch. Wouldn't you want that mom? That's the other thing. And if this is actually somebody who is dead to the world before it went to pot, and your mom suddenly comes back and is nice to you, wouldn't you want to live in that world if that's what it was offered to you? If this was the way to live out your days with a mom who actually loves you, it was comprised of all of humankind, would love you unconditionally, would put their needs above their own, as a mom should?
We don't know why he thinks she's a B. It could be his particular view. From her view, it could not be that at all.
She has no view.
There could be a misunderstanding that they have never cleaned up. And we don't know why he thinks that.
I think what we need to remember, though, is those 33 hours that they didn't know he existed. That is very telling when his mom is part of this collective. So something serious happened between the two of them that she
maybe she tried to kill him.
Didn't. And I don't know what it is. It could, I mean, sure, it could be a misunderstanding. We probably all know people who had a disagreement at a Christmas party with a family member, and then they stopped talking for 25 years. Mm-hmm. It could be something as simple as that. But those 33 hours are very important because his mom, part of the collective, did not say, hey, my son's over there.
Right. They made sure to show a photo of a young boy and an older man.
And his dad. Yes.
She ran away.
Maybe it has something to do with that.
Which is very unusual, too, in terms of statistics. Is that it's usually the dad that runs away, not the mom.
Dad could have made up a story about mom, and that's his perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a mom had to be in the picture to have him.
I mean,
she's
obviously.
Gone. I know. It's just an interesting scenario, right?
I mean, for the extremes, his dad could have abducted him, and the mom never knew and thought he was dead or something. And
holy mackerel.
Now that she, I mean, it could be anything like that. We don't know.
Yeah, that's a great take.
Absolutely.
Why didn't you come for me? I didn't know. You were stolen as a child. What a story that would be. Yep. Healing post-apocalyptically. All I have to say is that he was dead to the world beyond the parent unfamiliar. And so they didn't know enough about him. They can pick apart to say, oh, somebody was in the building and saw VHS, right? You can glean certain details, but beyond that, they don't know enough about him to know the image that he would love so that he could trust enough to hear them out even. Mm-hmm. And so that's sad. But now he's devoting his whatever love he has in his body left to this hero of his now. He's willing to travel via car, a terrible one at that, IMHO considering, to get all the way to Carol. You saw the maps, Bolivia and Guatemala, just get all the route that it would take to get to her Albuquerque address.
So it is my understanding that you cannot drive directly from South
Paraguay
America to United States. From what I hear, because I've watched a couple things, he's going to have to go through the Darien Gap, which is like one of the most dangerous areas in the world. And the next episode is named The Gap, by the way. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It's dangerous in terms of terrain.
yeah, because I think it's really mountainous.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, because if it's dangerous because of the people, then that doesn't
No,
matter.
I think it's just really
No, no, no.
mountainous.
That's
Have
the
you ever seen
implication.
the videos of the roads that are like on hugging the mountainside and like only one
yes, I've
car
been
can
on
go
them.
by? Yeah, it's like I think it's like that.
Same.
So,
Well,
But where you can't have two cars pass each other.
Right.
the good part about this is that there won't
been
be any
there.
other cars out there.
True. Yeah. Well, but then what if it's not wide enough for even one car?
as far as they know, because they don't know what he's doing right now.
Right. And there's no humans who give a crap enough to maintain those roads for him to do what
Right.
he
The
wants
only
to do.
person that has seen him at the
Or to
moment
know
is his
him.
mom. So it just depends on how many people they have. How many people do they have watching the roads where he's going?
But his quote unquote mom did see him drive off, and if it's because
Now
they
everybody
know they
knows.
dropped the message for Carol,
right, but like I'm
that's
saying,
a
they're going to have
deduction.
to have people spotting him along
Maintaining
the way
the road.
to know
Well,
where
we
he's
know they
going.
have drones.
You can see in your head now. They know where he's going, and he's like, "Oh darn, this Darien Gap!" And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people fix the road ahead of him, make it so that he can do what he wants to
Right.
do. Wouldn't he
Yeah.
be like, "What? Okay,
No, he,
just continue."
if he's anything like Carol, he'd be like, screw you guys. I'm going to drive off the edge.
Yeah, and just
take
give him the
rough
finger
way.
along the way. Again, I just can't with these people. They're authentic, obviously. I can't judge them. I mean, I can do that from here, but I can't judge them if I was there. I just can't. I would say maybe I'd be the same. I'd probably be more like the other survivors with their potluck Tuesdays and Fridays or whatever than I would the Carols. It's a good question to ask. Would you be more of a Carol or a Koumba? I know we sort of asked that in terms of what we would do with our lives, but in terms of temperament, would you be more of a Carol or a Koumba or
Okay,
Manusos?
so I'm going to say that almost 1,000% depends on if I have a loved one around me.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with and without. With a loved one
I would be.
that isn't assimilated too.
I don't think it would even matter if they were assimilated, because you could at least say I have them here. It
But it's
wouldn't be
not
the
them.
same. Right, it's not them.
So I know your
but
answer,
you're
Rachel.
still not going to be completely alone.
So you'd be okay if it was with or without assimilation, and you'd be like not a Carol, right?
I'm not much of a Carol anyway. I'm not really that unhappy, angry, hate everybody person. I would not be in Koumba style, as in I'm going to make them
Tire themselves out and stuff.
do the things that he's making them do
Yeah.
with me. Okay.
Mm-mm.
But when we were talking about traveling, and I would be the person that's like, I want this village to be repopulated so I can pretend that it's real.
So you're like Rachel.
I would do that, but I would know. I mean, I'd know it's not real, but if I've got no other choice, what am I going to do? Sit at home and be bored? Watch freaking Golden Girls DVDs? That's not much of a life to have.
I would be 95% Koumba. I would do the traveling and the sightseeing.
to
and
95%. Okay.
yeah, but then the reality.
Does it matter if you have an assimilated partner or not? Or even if you didn't
No, I
have
don't
an
think so.
assimilated?
Because either way, we're traveling. We're still
Okay.
doing all the things that we want to do. But then the harsh reality of everything would come crashing down, and I would spiral into a panic attack and cry for a week. And then I'd come out of it and I'd do some more traveling.
I'll probably cry again. I just realized you guys
and
put
then
me
a
in
month
the
later, I'd cry
uncomfortable
again.
position of being the Carol of this because I
We
fear.
don't have to be.
No, but I fear that's what might happen with me.
Yeah.
Is I would eventually turn into a Carol because I would have
You
no
would
purpose.
ask questions, though, Dave.
Sure.
You would have been the
Sure.
person going, why are you drinking so much milk? And why is
I
this
would definitely
happening?
be asking questions, but I wouldn't be rude
see,
about it.
I'm just saying, of us three, it would end up being that I'm the least on board with what's happening. So I'd be like a 65, 35
Yeah.
would be more Koumba-ish, right, in the scale. But 35% is a big portion. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a big portion of doubt being like, no, I don't want it.
Do I get to keep my dogs? Because that's a big
No.
one, too.
No. Well,
well, then-
no,
maybe.
she's not affected. So,
I'm not affected.
yes,
Do
you
I get to
would.
keep my
Yeah.
dog? Then I'm
So
fine.
yes, you would. I've had nightmares like this before where I wake up one day and the whole world has changed. And the nightmare's different every time. Sometimes it's like a zombie apocalypse. Sometimes everybody's gone. Sometimes I wake up and the world is just empty and I'm the last person here. It's different every time, but it's always that everyone is affected by something and I'm not. And every single time in my nightmare, I panic. I go into a panic attack and I'm like, why me? Why am I the only one left?
You have the survivor's guilt. I have the other half. And I mentioned the nightmare where you're there, but nobody can see you or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so when we're talking about how everybody in the world wants nothing to do with Carol, that's the nightmare. There's the want part, right? Because there's enough desire present to not want to, but they don't have the, I died in this dream. So they don't know that I'm still here.
Charity, the
hard.
whole world is in a secret group chat where they're all talking ish about Carol.
It's an oldie but a goodie, folks, that you have
Go F
no
yourself.
idea about.
Go F yourself, Rachel.
Yeah.
One more cute little thing to put out there. The shrink-wrapped head was Vince Gilligan.
Aww, I love that.
When Carol was watching the John Cena video, they had filmed Vince Gilligan doing that because they didn't have the John Cena scene yet. So she was reacting to Vince Gilligan delivering the video. Yeah.
I like how they had everything shrink wrapped because it explains why she had the reaction that she did, why she stared at for so long, why it took her a minute to recognize what she was looking at.
Yeah, she was doing the brain orientation, like, oh, if I see it like this, oh, it's a head. It's a head.
It's a turkey. Oh, that was not a turkey.
This is not a butterball.
I think there is one more thing. There's a machete he has, there's boots. He even, and this is something we could talk about, but he even climbs up to the chandelier to get money.
Yeah.
Is that what that
when
was?
When he pulled that out, I was like, bro, that's not going to help you.
But he doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't know that yet.
Yep.
But he does a little bit because if according, and maybe he doesn't believe even Carol, maybe he's not as big as fan as he thought. Because if there's only 12 people left other than him, then maybe he needs the money for them.
Well, or he just doesn't.
Think so, but
he seems like a skeptic too, right? Like he's not going to believe Carol. He's not going to believe anything that the Hive people have told him. Even Carol, he's like, it's worth the risk, but I'm going to take precautions.
So he's doing what she's doing with the Koumba. So she had to travel to Koumba, didn't want to rely on the message to be received by Koumba. So Manusas is doing the same thing with Carol. I don't know if she's legit, but I'm going to find out because there's an address here, obviously.
Yep.
Right? Is that the...
Yep.
That's a good parallel.
I loved his reaction when she said there were 12 other survivors and he was like 12 and it was
12?
Like it was like that just opened up a whole new world for him. Oh my god, there's other
like
people.
A double-edged world. Yeah, because if there's only 12 out of billions, the one thing that we didn't see him pack, or we did see him pack, but is a bit more of a hairy one to dissect, but he breaks out this thing called that on the front of it says and talk about bookends, like just like the bookend of him wanting to visit Carol in person to confirm that she is not of hive mind. And again, he is mostly in the dark compared to everybody else because he doesn't trust this hive mind enough to get answers, right? Like we said, just like the beginning 60s scene with Elvis and all that stuff, this box looks like it came from the 60s, 70s. Why? Because his Roadster, which either has a cassette tape or an 8-track player, it's very possible that it's an 8-track player considering the size of this package. And what it is, on the front it says, Aprende mientras conduces, Horizont en inglés, Sueños con Fluide, produced by Josué Carbono. And it's Learn While You Drive. Horizons in English, Dreams with Fluency. It's a learning English on tape. And I think it's one of those crazy ones where you learn by osmosis too. Which is why the dreams, fluid dreams.
I looked up Sueños con Fluides means dreams with fluency. Right. Which basically is you should know the language enough to be able to dream in it.
Exactly. So he's on his long journey, which was very well prepared. First of all, for the apocalypse with the machete and all that, but also for like situations like this. It's why he hunkers down in his job because it's the most fortified. So when he's on the MG, he's like, okay, I've got this long drive ahead of me. 3 days, more than 3 days, right? Because it goes 3 days in the past. So maybe by the time Carol comes back to Albuquerque, he might be there, possibly.
I think that's a way longer trip than
I agree.
Than he can do in 3 days. It's thousands of miles, and you have to go by car and or ferry or ship. Flying is the only practical way. Estimated time is 10 to 14 days of solid driving.
Okay, so about 2 weeks.
How many thousands of miles? From Albuquerque to Paraguay is roughly 5,100.
Yeah, 4,800 miles is what I got. So
Okay, so it's twice the distance from Vegas to Michigan.
on American roads, there's a big difference. I'm talking about the quality of the roads.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages.
We just thought we'd remind you to show this episode some love by tapping that like button, if there's one to be tapped, subscribing to our podcast or channel, and if available, enabling all notifications, and sharing the show, or clips of it, with everyone you know. And don't be afraid to reach out. Leave your questions, feedback, ideas, or even concerns in the comment section. There isn't one? Head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead and leave your thoughts there. Rating our podcast is the best way to get our attention because it also boosts our visibility. And we'll probably address it in the next episode too. And if you think there's something to what we're doing here at Squawking Dead, tip us over on Ko-fi. As a token of our appreciation, you'll receive forever access to our Discord, along with 30 days access to our uncut episode and interview recordings, plus our pre-squawk insights. Take your support further. Join a membership tier on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, and you'll unlock access to more channels on our Discord server, receive shoutouts at the end of every episode, and depending on what tier you join, the ability to join us on camera and mic to break down future episodes alongside us. Thank you for hearing us out and making it this far into the episode.
We now return you to our regularly scheduled podcast.
There is one more thing that we didn't do that I wanted to do. What do you think this is?
That is insert relevant musical artist's next album here.
Be like Skrillex.
It's the new Stomp.
This is the next generation of what kids call music.
Well, let me just say what the frequency was. It was 8.613.0.
I know, I wanted to see if those numbers had any sort of relevance.
There is.
Okay.
At least the 613 part is interesting in Judaism because you know what a mitzvah is, right? It's a good deed.
Yep.
It's not really. It's a deed. All the laws of Judaism comprise of 613 of them. There are 248 of which we must do, and there are 365 of one must avoid. It's commonly called as the 613 mitzvot.
There are 613 mitzvahs?
Deeds. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So at the very beginning, when they got the code, this recipe or whatever, the first episode, how did that come through? Did it come through as sound that needed to be deciphered?
Correct.
Okay. So that was my thought, was that it was the code.
Oh, it was the SETI program detection thing. Right.
Yeah,
right. Maybe.
This is the thing that came through initially for the scientists to decipher.
Could be. Yeah.
I mean, radio signals are used to control things like garage door openers and remote control vehicles and stuff. So, I mean, it could be remote directions.
Controlling of the humans?
Right. Remote controlling of the hive brain.
Ooh. And emotions disrupt that connection?
That frequency. Negative emotions do anyway.
You notice that when he packed up and when he started to pack up, he ripped out the return address and he put it in his book of frequencies to the page that had that frequency.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be the first thing he talks about with her. I guess.
Well, that's what he's discovered.
What do I think the signal is? The frequency is?
Yeah.
Honestly, first gut instinct. And I don't know. I have no reason to change that direction. I really liked your answer though, Rachel. I'm kind of going back to what Sharon says. I think it might be some signal from another survivor. No, I don't have strong feelings about this, but that's what I initially thought. And it's like, okay, they're putting a distress beacon out there.
Into space?
I'd say into space, but he's using a radio frequency. It's somewhere in the world, I think. To be that strong, I don't know.
Like the antenna on Lost that was just broadcasting the numbers over and over again.
Yeah, kind of like that. Right.
What if they're able to find where this is being broadcast from and disable it and everyone wakes up?
Maybe that's what maintains their connection.
If this is part of like the mind control.
What if you got snapped out of it, but like everybody's brains was...
You woke up in the wrong body.
You'd have portions of everybody's thought processes in your head all the time. It would be messed up.
I don't know.
Or like you woke back up, but you're in the wrong body. It's your brain, but you're in the wrong body.
Robbie.
You wake up and you've got Queen Elizabeth II over here and Ted Bundy over here and Susan Powder up here. So people got his memories.
Susan Powder. What an
What?
odd
No,
reference from an
don't ask me where that
age
came
gone
from.
by.
Don't ask me where that came from. But like you wake
That's
up with
fine,
all
man.
those different John
Wow.
Cena over here.
Well, I guess in my scenario, if you sever the connection's gone. You're not sharing a mind with anyone anymore.
It's
just
like
one
severing a
brain now.
highway.
Right.
But all those things are already in there. Like you gets
Are
cut
they,
off
though?
on there. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know how it works.
I think people would be sad. Wouldn't you be sad if that was cut off in a weird way? Because it's kind of like being enveloped in everybody in this hug.
It'd be a different
It's
kind of
global hug.
loneliness.
Yeah, you'd be very alone feeling.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
Mhm.
right? Okay. Maybe that explains why people started crying when Carol started breaking Zosha out, telling the truth. But I think she was in the process of, in her own way, breaking Zosha out.
I've heard a theory that Zosha was broken out, and that's why they haven't let Carol see her again. But then Zosha would be kind of useless to her because I'm pretty sure that Zosha didn't speak English.
Yeah.
It's possible, yeah. Well, she'd be speaking Arabic, probably, most likely. Or who knows if she was out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what the Amazigh people speak, but I assume it's Arabic, though. And she's of the age. She's not of a different time. Anyway, with that, everybody, if you thought of something that we didn't, bring it to the table. We'll talk about it in the next episode. Right, Jason? Say it in the comments, say it in a review, do the things that I said probably in the CTA. And with that, everybody, I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by, we're not doing the represented by, I guess I forgot to do it.
Me, Cosmo Mom 09.
Lazy Gardner.
And I'm really excited about the next episode, The Gap, British car. Mind the gap. And hey, check out our coverage of It, Welcome to Derry. Right, Jason? We saw you there too, and I would love to see you again then if you have the time to make it. Our schedule has been cast. I don't know if this episode will be out before that episode gets released, but either way, appreciate you being here. When you have so many options to choose from, we thank you for choosing us. We'll see you soon. Bye.
What if next week's episode is in the Gap at the mall? Like, what if we got it totally wrong and they're just like in the mall at the Gap hanging out?
That would be awesome.
Maybe that's Koumba's next fantasy. He's hanging out at the mall and shopping at the
Maybe.
Gap.
That would be awesome,
That would be awesome.
says Susan
Bye.
Powder. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for making it to the end of yet another episode of Squawking Dead. This one, Pluribus's 6th episode of its inaugural season, titled HDP. And honestly, I am starting to feel like I am able to release these episodes a little bit quicker than I have been typically. Obviously, I discussed, as much as I can discuss, the things in my personal life that have held me back a little bit on how quickly I can release these episodes. But we're starting to get a hang of this. No technical hurdles this week, crossed fingers. And I have neglected to mention that we have a merch store and we have a ton of cool designs for you to choose from our new store at squawkingdead.com. You can still access our old designs there too. There's a link to our TeePublic portal where you can peruse some classic designs. And we're not just talking about clothing, but we're talking about also stickers and cases, pillows, mugs, things of that nature. Give it a look. Squawkingdead.com, choose the main menu, hit shop merch. There's a sub menu that will take you either to the new store or the old store. There's some really cool stuff on either platform. Both sites have very excellent quality. The new store is very, very interesting. Can't wait for you to check it out. And now you've reached the portion of our podcast where we acknowledge our supporters, those who have joined a membership on either Ko-fi or Patreon. We start with the Survivors and Whisperers. We don't have any Survivors members. That is our elite junior producer tier, which entitles you to any calls that we have amongst the hosts, conversations that we're not ready to have with the general public or even our other supporters. You obviously get access to our core channel on our Discord server, but let's shout out our Whispers members of them. We have Rob Lucchese, who's been joining us on our It Welcome to Derry coverage. In case you didn't know, Whispers have the ability to join us in our episode breakdowns on camera and mic, should they choose. It's an option that they have. And you can find him on TikTok at robsstuff_n as in Nancy _thangs, THANGS. And of course, Kim Rowley at kim.rowley. The number 1 on Facebook. Like I said at the end of our discussion, there's so many things that are vying for your attention, and the fact that you choose to spend your valuable time with us, listening to us, enjoying what we have to say, liking our content, commenting on it, taking the time out to write reviews on ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead means a whole lot. So thank you yet again. And to that end, I'd like you to remember that no matter what happens, you, me, everybody, we are Squawking Dead.